Lateral raises suck. They're a cop-out for people who copy literally everyone else. It's an exercise catered specifically for incurious people. Why do a flat press for your chest, pull-ups for your lats, and squats for your quads if you're just going to flap around for your shoulders? And now some of you may be squawking about the overhead press. I respect the suggestion. However, if we're honest with ourselves, the overhead press in its standard form is mostly a front delt exercise. But if we're focusing on our shoulders, we need to be thinking about the front delt and the side delts. To work the side delt, we need to abduct the upper arm. In the overhead press, it's mostly just shoulder flexion or extension. I'm not sure which one it is, but you're really just moving in the frontal plane. There's not really any lateral motion. You can get a little bit in, but because the weight's in front of you, it's always going to be predominantly front delt. That's always going to be the limiting factor. That's always going to be the thing that fails first. And the sharp ones out there might be shouting, well, what about the behind the neck press? And yes, while this is better, it doesn't allow us to fully abduct our upper arm, as our hand is fixed to a single path by the bar. And anyone who's tried this exercise can attest to the awkwardness of the movement. Now, the holdouts among you may be shouting about the dumbbell overhead press. My refutation of this will be very similar to my refutation of the incline press. If you get any sort of strong, you're going to have to launch quite a lot of weight over your head. And not only that, once you're done, once you fail, that's going to be a lot of weight thrown down. It doesn't let you push past failure. And it also means that in addition to having to launch that weight over your head, you have to buy that metal first. It can result in quite an expensive purchase. So it would seem that I've eliminated almost every single shoulder exercise. So what does that mean?
I'll tell you what that means. It means return to the hips.
Ring pike push-ups solve every single one of our issues. For starters, external weight is kept to an absolute minimum if required at all. The rings also allow our arms to converge, which gives us that all-important humeral adduction. The exercise can be loaded far heavier than a lateral raise and also gives us the maximum amount of weight during the stretched portion of the movement, which is the complete opposite with lateral raises. There are, however, a few things I'd like to outline to make sure you're getting the most out of this exercise. First of all, you want to ensure that you've got a relatively wide arm path that converges rather than resorting to the forward trajectory you get with a normal overhead press. And I state that you want to make sure you're doing this is you will naturally be stronger in this movement path. So you sort of have to force yourself to go in this movement path, which is far more balanced between the side and front delt. Secondly, you want to set the rings as low as you can, but giving yourself enough clearance so your head doesn't hit the ground, but also allowing you to get the full range of motion. If you're just starting this exercise, you want to start with your feet on the ground, then eventually move up to a step to turn it into an elevated pike push-up. And then after that, then you can add weight. If you end up being a bit of a genetic freak, then you can even progress to things like handstand ring push-ups, though very few of us will make it there. If you do progress to doing this exercise weighted, I highly recommend you use a weight vest. As if you use something like a weighted backpack, the weight is far more likely to shift and to sort of slump over your head as you do the exercise. So this is an exercise with potentially endless progression. It allows you to fail safely, with that resulting in just sort of an awkward step forward. It also allows you to do things like forced reps or negative reps, so you can go beyond failure very easily and on your own. Something not possible with a barbell or dumbbells. So if you're like me, you'll start seeing things that are upside down as the right way round.